So according to my exhaustive research, this one layer right here is $1,200 of lumber. And of course that's rubbish. Those boards aren't worth that much money. But I'm gonna go through the process real quick of cutting up a log, showing how much lumber we got out of it, and talking about what are these boards really worth and where did I get this $1,200 number. Hey, it's Brock here with Rock Hill Farms, and this is the pile of logs that I bought from my friend Paul Case. And I paid $170 for 5 logs. Now it's time to start milling them up and see what kind of yield I get. So let's grab the first one and get started. This is a 14-inch diameter log, 13.5 the other way. Let me check the other end. That end was 13 by 13.75. That's as close to a perfectly round log as I've ever had on the mill. I'm used to having a lot of taper, and this one just doesn't, so that's awesome. Alright guys, look at this with me and see if what I'm doing makes sense. Part of this came from what the Okie Woodsman told me last time. Now what I would normally do now is cut off right here and right here. I've got some 1-bys that are live edge that could be used for something, but those have come off already. And normally I would just square this up and then I would take a measurement and say this is 8 inches by 9 inches. So I'm going to get 2x8s out of it. That way of doing it that I've been doing it is a matter of just let's stack up a bunch of 2-inch thick boards and then see what I need them for later. But right now I want a bunch of 2x4s. So, and I've decided that from now on, anytime I cut a 2x4, it's going to be 1.5 by 3.5. So to get my 3.5, I've made a mark on this at 7 1/8 up from the bottom. So I need to cut 1 more inch off of this. And then when I slice it this way, I'm going to have 2x7s, and then I'll stand them all up and cut the 2x7s into 2x4s. But all of that sounds like it's not making sense, but every time you say 2x4, you mean 1.5 by 3.5. So I guess that's what I'm going to do. I've made a mark here at 7 inches. We're going to cut it off there and go from there. This is that shorter 1-by that some people have been wanting me to save, and I've been putting in the slabwood pile. If you're new to how this power head works, it's pretty cool. It's got a digital readout. So after making the cut, I zero it, then I'll go down till this says 1 inch, actually past an inch, then back up to get 1 inch on here. But actually I'm cutting 2x, so I'll be at 1.5 inches. All right, so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 2x8s and a 1x8. But we want 2x4s, and these are actually 7 inches wide. So now I'm gonna roll it over and resaw them the other direction. This is one log. These are 2x4s. The last board kind of hung below the bunk, so it's 1.5 inches on one end and it's a full 2 inch on the other. But that can be planed. So we're gonna say we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 2x4s that are 10 foot long. And then we've got other wood that came out of it, like this. Can you use this for something? Yes, you can. What can you use it for? I don't know. And then I've got some 1x live edge there. Somebody might want it. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. But it's not like it has no value. I've said it before, if I threw it in my slab rack, cut it into firewood, I could sell it as firewood. But what I'm saying is it's kind of hard to put a value on like this, thin stuff, and that stuff. I was just on the Lowe's and Home Depot websites looking at lumber prices. And it was really, really interesting what I found on there. And I just don't know what to say about it. So if you look at what I've got here, which is 10 2x4s, 10 foot long. If you wanted to buy that in pine, each of those 2x4s is worth like $7. And so that's $70 of wood right there. But this is not kiln dried pine. So how do you compare? So now I'm looking, what would it cost if I wanted to buy oak? Now these numbers are going to be outrageous. I can't even wrap my head around them. But on the website, Home Depot doesn't list 2x4x10. They do have 2x4x8 oak, and it's $105 a board. That would mean that these 10 boards would be $1,050, obviously without tax. Then plus I got the 2 thinner boards, plus I got the 1x live edge. So if you're buying your lumber at the Home Depot and you want hardwood, right here we've got $1,200 of lumber. And that's insane. I would never make the case this lumber's worth that. First of all, to get it to that point, I'd have to kiln dry it, or just dry it for the next 9 months or so from my experience to get it air dried. I'd have to completely dry it, and then I'd have to straighten it up a little bit on the planer, and I've got some inconsistent thicknesses. So you could never make the case that that's $1,200 of lumber. I also don't see how anyone could make the case that it makes sense to pay $105 for a red oak 2x4 at the Home Depot. That's insane. That's Jiminy Christmas. If you really want some oak, I'll hook you up for a lot less than $100 a board. Now, what would I say this stack of lumber's worth? Those 10 2x4s, to me, I'd say are worth about 150 bucks. I'd say they're worth twice what the pine are. And if they were dried, maybe they're worth a little more than that. For my time to dry them. If I dried them and planed them, they're worth more than that. Now, that doesn't mean you can get anyone to pay you that much for them. But I'm saying, what are they worth for me? Because I don't care what anyone else will pay for them unless I'm selling them. And so I think about it, what would I pay for those boards? And I think that's it, $100, $150. And I paid $30 for the log. So, say I came out ahead, and if you're turning $30 into $150 in a couple of hours, you're coming out all right buying logs to sell the lumber. Anyway, I thought it was an interesting topic whenever I saw this up and then looked up the prices. I appreciate you taking time to watch the video. I'll put links on the screen to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.